Hey, what's going on guys, Ben here from RuneCraftpc, and today I'm bringing you another video about God Wars Dungeon 2, the newest addition to RuneScape in terms of bossing and dungeons and God Wars. So yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. There's a lot of hype going around right now, and I'm loving it. Personally, I'm sticking to the boss, the Seren boss, Highway. I can't say the name and I forgot it as well, but in this video I do actually give a Vindicta and Gorvek guide, and this is just a solo guide, so you know you can start off with solo because it's quite hard. You know, a lot of my friends are already doing duos and trios, so instead of waiting around for one of them to be free, I prefer just to go solo, and I'm sure a lot of you would prefer to go solo and try and make the drops just for yourselves. So anyway, as you're watching right now on screen, this is the Zaros area. That's what it is. It's Zaros, Vindicta and Gorvek, and you get kill count as normal, 40 kill count, and then you can go through into the boss room. So Vindicta and Gorvek, well, Vindicta is a dragon rider and Gorvek is his dragon. That's kind of the basis of the boss. So Vindicta he's not really a human, he's a creature that dominates the first half of the fight, and Gorvek then comes in and they fight together for the second half. Of course, it has 200k HP as normal. First, before I go through any of the mechanics, I will go through the gear setup that I recommend. A lot of people prefer using melee at this boss, however I did use range, but I think range and melee are the two best for this boss. Melee of course gives you a bigger DPS output, and you know you could probably get more kills, or in a time frame. You could probably get more kills in a time frame with melee. However, range allows you to get more kills in one trip because you're using less food. So for my setup, I was using almost tier 90 range, apart from I do not have the offhand tier 90 crossbow. I just use the offhand chaotic crossbow. Actually, an offhand lucky chaotic crossbow. I know, it's kind of weird. I just got it, so I thought I'd use it. In terms of melee, I would recommend same as Highway or whatever that boss is, only 85 power armor as the lowest requirement. I wouldn't go any lower than that. I would take Chaotix and 85 power armor at the lowest. So that would be Death Lotus if you're using range, and Tetsu if you're using melee. And as for the weapons, you could use, you know, Chaotic Rapiers, Chaotic Longswords, or Chaotic Crossbows. If you really wanted, you could use a Chaotic Maul. So in terms of food and everything else, of course, bring overloads if you have them. I would highly recommend them. A yak just makes it so you can last a trip a bit longer, but it's not essential to get one kill. A decent amount of prayer, you know, standard stuff that you'd normally bring. I brought on this time a lot of brews and rocktails because it was one of my first kills and I didn't really know what to expect. But now I've learned the mechanics and got it down, so I don't need as much in the way of food, and I can cut back on my cost of supplies. So let's get into the mechanics of Vindicta and Gorvek. So as I said, the first half of the fight, Vindicta dominates the whole fight. So that is the first 100k HP. It's just Vindicta by himself, and he will attack using melee, and it's pretty standard attacks, maybe, you know, hitting 400 to 500 for standard attacks. So, you know, pop a devotion now and then if you want to just preserve some food. And I would say on the first half, the first 100k health, you want to play it, you know, not play it safe, but just take it down normally. The second half is when you want to DPS to the max and get it over with, but the first half of the kill you can just play it normally and, you know, try and preserve food. So when you get down to 100k HP, that's when Gorvek comes in. Sorry, I should quickly say about the mechanics of the first half of the fight. So within the first 100k, when you're only fighting Vindicta, he will have two attacks. One of them will be similar to Torag's attack in Rise of the Six, or any of the melee brothers' attacks, where they spin around with their sword and it attacks you a little bit. However, not quite intense. In this one, he'll spin around and it will only hit you once. Kind of similar to Hurricane, but with only one hit. It's got quite a big radius, and it's hard to tell when it's going to happen, apart from if you're used to the timings. If you do bosses like Araxor, you're kind of attuned to when big attacks are about to happen. So you're watching in the video that I managed to run away from these attacks just because I sensed that they were going to happen, and they did. That attack doesn't really hit much, and it doesn't matter if you get hit, but if you feel like it may be coming soon, put on a devotion and save yourself a 1k hit. And the other attack which you need to watch out for is the purple smoke that Vindicta actually orders Gorvek to fly down and put over the map. So Vindicta will make a gesture with his hands, Gorvek will come down and, you know, blow some purple smoke all over the floor. If you're standing in that purple smoke, you'll get hit constant mage hits of around 700 to 900. So you want to just walk out of that smoke as soon as possible and carry on attacking. So that's for the first half of the fight. When it gets to the second half of the fight, it's the same mechanics. In fact, you don't have the spinning mechanic. You only have one mechanic, and that is the purple smoke. It's slightly different because this time, when they do the purple smoke, you will notice because Gorvek will fly up into the air with Vindicta on his back. They'll go to one of the four corners of the room, and from there they will target you and blow the smoke in your direction. To avoid this, you can just walk or just run or surge out of the way, so then you're off the smoke. They'll then walk back to you and you continue the fight. There are no other mechanics in the second half of the fight, but the reason it's harder than the first half is because Gorvek actually uses a range attack and Vindicta uses melee. So unless you want to prayer switch every attack because they alternate every attack, which still doesn't save you much and is quite a lot of hassle, you want to use an ultimate on the second half of the fight, on the second 100k, and try and get that down as quick as possible. I'd recommend praying range because it hits a lot harder. Gorvek hits a lot harder than Vindicta, and popping devotion whenever you can in the second half of the fight, just to preserve some food, and other than that, DPS as hard as you can and get it done. So Vindicta and Gorvek really aren't that mechanically difficult, they just hit a lot harder, especially compared to my other guide with the Seren boss, who is a bit more mechanically difficult but doesn't hit hard. These guys just hit hard, they're just blunt, hit you hard, but they don't do much else. Just the purple smoke, just watch out for it and walk off it and you should be fine. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this guide or if it helped you at all, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Probably with more God Wars Dungeon 2 content, maybe a Gregorvik guide or whatever the little tree man is.